Okay, we're live. That took a little while. England trailed South Africa by 40 runs in what was a very bad performance by South Africa. With the bat, South Africa were all out for 151, and England at the close of play 111 for three. We will be discussing everything that has to do with this particular match, the second test, day one between South Africa and England. We'll be reviewing it right now on this show. It's also an opportunity for you as fans to call in and come rant and have your say. Come tell us really how you feel about this particular performance. No holds barred, guys. Come and let us know what you feel. But before we get going, before we get started with this review, please click subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos as well. Also, smash the like button, also comment, and also share this video with all your friends and family and all cricket enthusiasts that you know. Share this with people that are trying to get into the game because they can really learn a lot from these streams as well. So please send the link to as many people as possible because we will be discussing things obviously much more in depth on the show. If you want to help us promote South African cricket, if you want to help us grow South African cricket, then get involved with our Patreon account. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And for all our updates, we've got the reviews and features and all those type of things on the website. So go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates and regular daily content. So let's get straight into today's video. Not really looking forward to talking about this, but looking forward to chatting to you guys and seeing what you guys have to say about day one of the second test between South Africa and England. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with the second test between South Africa and England at Old Trafford. Yeah, guys, what a crappy game of cricket for South Africa's point of view. Um, it's crazy the way this game has unfolded. So let me just start at the beginning from my perspective before we get into the discussion in the live chat, before you guys call in and have your say. We discussed on the show leading up to the test match about the conditions. Myself, Aaron, Rory Kleinveld, even some of the other guys like Werner as well. Aditya, in his way, as well, said the same things. We spoke about this wicket being a little bit spinner friendly or a little bit drier as we might think. Aaron alluded to us playing with two spinners early on. I spoke about it too as I got to learn a little bit more about the pitch. Rory said that maybe we should keep the same 11. And Dean Alger said we're going to assess the situation, and 12 players are already picked with the thought of having a second spinner in the back of their mind. So the big question at the beginning of this match would have been who should be dropped, who should come in for Simon Harmer, because the pitch looks pretty dry. Listening to the pundits before the game as well, listening to the pitch report, the same message was given to us by them too. So I had a look at it from TV, of course. I wish I was there to be able to assess it from the ground because that's what I normally do in this match. I'll try my best to try and get down to the field and try and see the wicket early on if I can, and I have the opportunity to do so. South Africa was greeted by very murky, very cloudy overhead conditions. Now, South Africa would have thought at the beginning, with this record at Old Trafford of teams batting first, totals normally being put on the board if you bat first. Majority of the matches won at Old Trafford were the teams that batted first. So automatically, as a captain, as a group, they probably thought we're going to bat first here. The idea is to be able to bat out until lunch, make sure that you can keep the least amount of damage as possible, keep your wickets intact, and then go into the second innings as the sun comes out. Go into the second session when the sun comes out. As the sun starts to bake the pitch a little bit more, it gets easier and easier to bat on. But that overhead conditions made it a little bit more tricky. Dean Alger decided to stick and bat his batters. Hopefully, that him and obviously Evia could get through the first couple of overs, get through the first session, and then start finding those runs and tire out obviously England's bowlers. Now, the overhead conditions painted a different picture to what we thought we were going to get. In fact, I listened to Stuart Broad speak after the game right now, saying that they never thought that the ball was going to nip. They thought that the ball would swing. James Anderson realized early on that the ball wasn't swinging and changed his approach when he bowled. Now, if the bowlers from England who have experience at these grounds weren't sure about what was going to happen, then of course the batters wouldn't either. Now, going into this match, Dean Alger and Cyril Ewe weren't sure either. And they looked at. After a couple of overs, we started to see the ball nip off the seam, nip off the surface. It almost seemed like they were waiting for the ball to move in the air, played the ball pretty late, you could say, and ended up pushing at the deliveries that they shouldn't have. I don't blame this batting performance on the weather. I blame this batting performance on poor execution of plan. This is what I think, and this is what I believe. Some people are saying that the link isn't working. I'm going to paste it again over here. I don't understand why it's not. Try this one that others posted in the link now. I can't put it in the description. I'll try my best to put it in the description now. It might be too late to put it in the description because I'm already live. But I will share the link with you guys soon. Okay, there we go. It's in the description, guys, the link. So if you guys want to get it, it's in the description as well, underneath the intro. South Africa. So back to what I was saying. South Africa have been in these situations where I've said it plenty of times, and a lot of the guys on here would have said it plenty of times. We struggle with the ball when it moves around moves around the new ball, and we've seen it once again, not being able to adapt their game plan to the situation, and that's why I believe South Africa lost so many wickets so quickly. I think there's a lot of issues with this batting lineup that we need to sort out. And we need to obviously discuss this going forward. But I think let's not be too hasty, because I think that Simon Harmer and Keshav Maharaj might be able to do some damage and maybe save us from actually being completely out of this test match. Quick summary to those that haven't got an opportunity to watch it. Scored 151 in the first innings. Kagiso Rabada was the top scorer with 36. James Anderson bowled beautifully. Stuart Broad, all of them bowled beautifully. Then England came into bat, and South Africa started off quite well, especially that wicket from Anik Nokia. Superb. That was an absolutely brilliant delivery. And then, of course, Lungin Giri bowling well up front, and then Kagiso Rabada getting Joe Root. So a very good performance, from South Africa with the ball, given the circumstances. South Africa, obviously, only 40 runs ahead of England currently. So that's what's happening over there. Let me start getting the callers in and having this discussion. I would like to hear you say first up, Lorenzo, welcome to the show, brother. How are you doing? What would you like to say?
Hi, Khalid. Hope you're good.
Yeah, I'm okay, I guess. As okay as I can be.
Yeah, yeah, same here. Okay, I won't be long. Still have a few things to do. But the thing is this, man. when are we gonna start having the Rasim and Edison and Markram discussion? Because it can't go on. We're in trouble, mate. We are absolutely in trouble. We have Keegan Peterson bang out of form. We have Markram bang out of form, and we have Van Edison bang out of form. So we should have a serious discussion tonight about this. It can't keep going on. We can't be okay today. Elga and Erwin didn't give us a great start, yeah? But normally they do. But our batters, our middle order, always seems to bring the opposition back into play. When we have a good start, our middle order messes it up. My thing is this: we have two guys in the squad in Ryan Rickleton, and you know what? I'll even play Kaya Zondo because he might want to prove something and he will actually score runs because he want to prove something. Because at the moment, Markham is not proving anything. He's getting chance after chance after chance. He's not proving anything. For the Dustin, also getting chance after chance, he's not proving anything in test match cricket. Yes, in one day cricket, he's absolutely brilliant. He must play there. And to a certain extent, in T20 cricket as well. But this is test cricket. It's different. Those two guys, for me, irrespective if we win this game, lose this game, draw this game, both of them must be dropped immediately. We can't keep on. And what do they bring to the table? Nothing. They don't even have experience in test match cricket, test level. I'm sorry, but they don't. So some people in the comments might now say, yeah, they experience. Okay, what experience? How many tests have Van Dyssen played? How many tests have Markram played? They have no experience, so they bring absolutely nothing to the table. Those two guys should be dropped. And I'm telling you now, Keegan Peterson is going on the same trend as Aiden Markram. Look pretty 20s, 30s, then gets out. And how does he get out? He always seems to nick the ball to slips onto the keeper. He's too
Mm,
flashy outside of for number three. He can't play like that. You can't be too flashy outside of stump.
mm,
You always seem to get out like that. So we need serious introspection when it comes to our batting. It can't keep on going like this. I'm absolutely fed up with him. The bowlers all the time. The bowlers must come and it is I don't know, dig us out of hole. What's his name? Kaiser Abada score more runs than Aiden Markram. Keshav Maharaj score more runs than Aiden Markram. What is he doing in the team then?
mm.
What is he doing in
Uh,
the team, guys? I
yeah,
don't understand this.
and I get your view over here because it's something that I've been speaking about a long time is South Africa's succession plan and what they do when it's with regards to planning to the future. If they had to sit back when Boucher took over and said, "Look here, guys, we're going to be focusing on the building this next test team for the next test championship. We're going to be these are the three guys that are going to be our next couple of openers. These are going to be the guys that are the next number threes." We wouldn't sit in a situation where we'd have to change an opener in first in test cricket to a number four to suit his game. If we had a number four already knocking on the door saying, "You know what? I really am the guy that should be here instead of this person." Now, we can also argue that we have someone in Ryan Rickleton sitting on the bench who should have played in this match. And a lot of people would have said that prior to this. You know, my stance on giving people, youngsters, a chance rather than trusting an experienced batter that is still trying to figure out their game. Test cricket is not a type of game I feel that you can learn on the job necessarily. You can learn certain things, but your technique, you can't necessarily be learning new techniques and things on the job, I feel. It's something that what Test cricket is about understanding your game. If you listen to the likes of Ashwell Prince, if you listen to the likes of Hashim Amla, if you listen to the likes of Jacques Callis, they they spoke or they talk about when they talk about cricket, it's about understanding your game and understanding your game fully, right? And then going out there and trying to adapt it to the test arena because now you have a proper test of people coming here being accurate. Where I think it went wrong today, though, and this is where I want to ask you. I know it's easy for us to chat about this person should be gone, that person should go on. Let's analyze the situation and analyze this particular batting performance and see where it actually went wrong. In my perspective, Lorenzo, when I look at it, it's about the way we assessed the conditions today was completely wrong. And I think it was too late for them to make a change to everything by the time they realized it. Because we are, like I said early on in the show, even England didn't realize that the ball was going to swing. They thought. Oh, sorry, thought that the ball was going to swing. They didn't realize that we're going to get so much movement of the seam and nipping off the actual track. Particular James Anderson changed his line and length so that he can get the best out of the wicket, and that's how the first wicket dropped, second wicket dropped. Now, I've spoken about it for a very long time, saying that we struggle with new ball when the ball moves around, and our whole top order struggles with that. We have for everybody actually, in fact, struggles with that. But when we look down to the domestic level, we're not sitting there saying there, you know what, we have three, four, five batters that are sitting there waiting to come in to get an opportunity. That succession plan is not there, and as long as we don't plan the future, we are going to still sit with this problem, and it's going to continue for as long as we know until they change it and think about things differently. But when I talk about this batting performance, where do you feel it went wrong?
Okay, Khalid. The thing is this: it's easy for us to say, and I know it was difficult. It was overcast. It wasn't necessarily swinging, but it was moving from the deck, and that was quite a surprise. I heard Stuart Broad also said that Jimmy Anderson, he identified that quite early in the game that there was no swing, but when he tries to swing, it nips from the deck.
Yeah.
So it was quite difficult conditions to bat in. But let's not kid ourselves here. Let's not fool ourselves. We played against India in South Africa, right? In our own conditions, our batting collapsed. We couldn't score runs, right? We were lucky that India's batting was just as bad as ours. The same happened in New Zealand. Flat decks, yes, green tops, but we all know that's deceiving in New Zealand. It's green, but you can still score lots of runs, and New Zealand actually showed that as well, right? So, regardless of the conditions, I feel even if we play on flat wickets, Khalid, we will still be in trouble with this batting lineup. I'm on. I'm sorry, but I'm not having this. Yes, conditions. Yes, conditions play this part today. Yes, but even in batting friendly conditions, we also struggle. We can't score runs. Our openers, Erevia, he comes to the party. Yes, Iaga comes to the party to a certain degree. Yes, they must be in the team. But KP, yes, we can give KP a bit of leeway. He didn't play in New Zealand. But Markram van der Dussen, and to a certain extent, yes, Varane batted superbly in New Zealand. I won't drop him, but he must also start getting like because Rickleton can keep as well.
You see, Lorenzo, my problem here is, right, especially with this team, and South Africa is having this problem across the formats. It's a similar thing. Like I know I'm going to bring on Man United again, or I bring up us again, or myself, Man United, because it's something relatable to myself that I can talk to and compare the two. The problem with this team is for guys like Calverena, I feel sorry for them. Guys like Calverena, Marco Janssen, the younger guys, like even KP
I
to an
agree with
extent
you,
at the
Khalid.
beginning of
I agree.
his career, because he's coming into a team where there isn't experience for them to rely on. When David de Villiers came into the team, when the young Amla came into the team, even when Amla made his first stint and second stint coming around, even a Faf du Plessis coming into his early years as a test cricketer, when you look around the dressing room, you've got people to rely on. These boys are expected to increase their even to an extent. Aiden Markram, the amount of pressure that was put on Aiden Markram at the beginning of his career when he just walked in as a test opener was insane, and we forget about those things. And this is not an excuse for it, because he needs to decide what position he wants to bat, because that's going to determine the way he's going to bat and what his game plan is going to be. My argument always with Rassie van der Dussen was with Test cricket is, if you're going to pick an experienced guy, the guy needs to hit the ground running. I'm sorry, we don't have time to still let a guy discover his form at the age of 34 or 35. That was my opinion on that. I would rather prefer to see a guy like Ryan Rickle to come in and struggle in English conditions, because at least when he comes back to South Africa, he can say, he can come back with a book and say, you know what, I learned this. Go back to the Lions, tell his coach, look here, they've got a great training facility at the Lions. He can go back to the Lions, goes and say to his coach, this is the stuff I struggled with. Maybe I can improve on this and maybe cement that spot for myself. That is my problem with regards to South Africa's Test Championship. Now, my thing is, it's almost like we don't plan. It comes across like that to me, because we look at the team and then it's like, oh no, we're actually doing well here. It's a possibility for us to win this. Let's just throw everything into this now. It's like desperation. It doesn't. It's not. We're not sitting here and saying, you know what, for the next in 2 years' time, this person will probably be this far into his test career, and this person will be this far in his test career. We should be able to be stable. We should start to see some consistency coming into this test tournament. Let's see how they develop. That's not happening, because we get desperate. We get desperate to want to fill a position instantly, and then we stuck in this. difficult position to say, "Ooh, can we drop him? It's only been a couple of games, or maybe he just needs to bat longer in these X, Y, Z conditions." All of these things start to happen, and then we start treating everybody the same, even though the circumstances are different. So all of these things start happening that bother me because of the lack of planning. There hasn't been good enough planning for me when it comes to the test arena. We've been picking things based on desperation. I feel we want guys to
And
hit the road running, the ground running instantly, and we
and I
just
agree with you
switch,
there.
and we keep switching until it works. And then once it works, then we want to prolong. We can't treat
Yeah,
everybody the same way. That's unfortunate. Like you can't treat Rassi the same way as you treat Aiden, for example. You can't treat Aiden the same way as you treat Alga or you treat Saro. Each individual person needs to be looked at individually. But at the moment with Rassi and Aiden, have they been performing for South Africa? No, and that is the reality of it. There is a guy that has been playing in England that has been getting county runs that is sitting on the bench. They did the similar thing to Aiden Markram in the World Cup under 19. So this is why I'm saying there is consistencies with South Africa in their behavior. Under 19 World Cup, we were doing putridly. We lost the first game hectically. When we went to Southampton, Markram
yeah.
was scoring runs for fun in Southampton before that particular World Cup. He was going he was going, I don't know what he was averaging. He was averaging extremely high. He was scoring hundreds and fifties for fun at that ground. We go to Southampton in a must-win game, and they don't play him. And I was like, but why? You know what? I understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So we go with the trial and tested guys. That's what they said, and that's exactly what they did, and that's why we're sitting in the situation that we are. But with
But
this
my thing is,
particular game, with this particular game, we need to analyze each particular innings differently. But there's consistencies, and you're right. We
yeah,
haven't been getting good starts with the bat. It hasn't been happening consistently enough, especially that opening pair. I feel that Alga and Saro Eva is not a long-term plan. Of course, it's not.
no,
One is
no,
at the end of his career. The other one is also in his early 30s. You
twilight
can say,
period. Yeah,
yeah. So like we're not thinking future here at all. Now again we're wasting an opportunity for a youngster to learn from that person in the middle
exactly.
because at the moment we are in a position to challenge for that World Test Championship, and that's on the
But
table as well. So we need to think now what we're
isn't
gonna
this
do.
where our new director in Rinkwe must come in strong then? Isn't this where he should sort of say to them, look here guys, this isn't working. We need to look at more youngsters replacing these guys because this is not a long term viable option for us. Having Erwe Ialga van het in the team. Because let's be honest, in 2 to 3 years time they won't be there. Then who's gonna replace it? So
And
then
I believe that Enoch is going to put those systems in place, but those
yes,
systems take a while to be implemented and to actually work. You need to put the right pipelines in place for it to actually work correctly. Currently, the current setup and the way this team is at the moment, we're sitting with a situation which can't necessarily be tampered with too much because we've already gotten guys that are in the system, SAA, all of that. That kind of is already there. We need to now give the guys opportunities when the chances arise. And we are too far into this test championship to make wholesale changes. It will
yeah,
be crazy for them to do it right now, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I mean, we can be brave and say, you know what, guys, let's just scratch this off and restart. We're not
yeah.
actually doing as badly as we think. I feel that maybe certain players' game plans are getting muddled up. Today, Markram went out with a white ball shot. It's like almost like he didn't realize that he could have just played a control pull shot and it would have went for four. But there's
Yeah,
certain things that are getting mixed up with some of our batters.
exactly. So that's the perfect example. So then with our logic from the outside in, if the average Joe can see it, ne, why can't the hierarchy see it? Why can't the selector see it? Why can't the director of cricket? Okay, I'm not attacking Enogi. He's been in a job for what couple of months now, so he's still fine. He's doing a good job. But my thing is this: why was Zondo in the team? Why was
You can't
Zondo in
even
the
say
team?
if he's doing a good job yet. It's too soon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why is Zondo in the team and not someone like what's his name? The province boy. What's his name again, man? Left hander, opening bats.
Tozozi.
Tazozi. Why isn't he there? Yes, he might not have played, but he would have learned a hell load of experience from Mark Boucher, from Dean Elgar, from
Yeah,
guys like that. And then when he got his chance, he kind of knows the environment and stuff like that. But my thing is this, onto another thing of mine. The selectors knows who's our, first of all, who's our selectors. Can't they think for themselves? They know our betting is absolutely, I'm gonna say it, shite. We shite on our betting. So why don't we go with the 7-4 split? I mean, I just don't understand the logic in that. I just don't understand it. Khalid, my
because
phone is gonna go now. My
yeah,
phone is
cool.
gonna go now. I'm quickly gonna
Okay,
put it in
cool.
charge. I'll be back now.
Okay, cool. I'll see you now.
Okay.
Um, so just to answer that question quickly, and what he had to say. Wait. Let me just add the main guy here. Welcome to the show, brother.
Good evening.
Well done to your team. Bowled excellently, but we'll discuss it a little later. I just want to answer Lorenzo's question quickly. Um, the thing that worries me about the 7-4 split is that we weaken our bowling then in a way, because what makes us successful is having all these options and utilizing them. I think that's what makes South Africa's bowlers so good, is that we have all these options available and we can change them according to what the situation is, and that's what makes us strong. I think by playing seven batters, I like the idea, because in hindsight, these get seven batters will strengthen your batting, and automatically that's what we think is that will happen. Not even your whole top six is getting wiped out.
Mm.
maybe if your two, or your maybe if you're one of your openers, and maybe your three or your four gets knocked out, then having the extra batter is a nice cushion. But I don't think the extra batter really saves your entire batting lineup getting washed away. So that's the problem with South Africa, lies a lot deeper than that. Aaron, we spoke about this on the original Cricket Fanatics magazine test review shows and preview shows when you guys first came down to South Africa, about
Hmm.
our ability to be able to play the moving delivery.
Yes.
Whether it is nipping off the surface of the seam, swinging in the air, it don't matter. South Africa struggle to find batters that can actually play against that moving delivery. Now, we know that the conditions of pitch is troublesome for both sides. We understand that. I believe that it's not as troublesome for you guys at the moment, because it is towards a little bit longer in the day that you guys got to bat, a little bit late in the day when you guys got to bat. It's maybe not as moist, the pitch, as it was at the beginning, you could say. There's a little bit of sun that hit the deck, etc. And that's what we were, obviously, as analysts, or as the analysts and the pundits are all out there, were talking about. They spoke about the pitch, and they said, you know what, um, the pitch is dry, and there's overheat conditions. I think that I don't blame Dean Alger for saying he wants to bat first on this pitch. I don't believe that that was the decision that made us lose or wickets. I feel that we batted poorly. I think that the batters looked at the conditions, thinking it's going to swing, and then overly committed, or didn't commit enough, or didn't play positively enough, thinking that the ball's going to swing rather than angle or skid off the pitch or move off the pitch. It's very different movement that you're getting over here. So I think they misread that aspect of it, thinking, because in the back of their head they're looking at the overhand conditions, thinking it's gloomy. Even your bowler said it. I mean, Broad spoke afterwards and said that Jimmy was like, "Whoa, it's not skinny swing, it's nipping off. Let's change things," and they got their wicket.
Hmm.
So your analysis of this, I know you can come here bragging about the performance because your team did really well, but I want to get into the nitty gritty stuff, and really look at this deeply and say, where did it go wrong for South Africa? Because it's clearly, there's a lot more to it than just saying, oh, we batted poorly, or oh, we shouldn't have batted first.
Yeah, there is. And first and foremost, you do have to give England a lot of credit. In particular, Jimmy Anderson running out of superlatives, adjectives, things to describe this legend of the game. How do you go about doing it? It's impossible, almost, what he's doing and achieving at the age of 40. It really is remarkable. In my opinion, the greatest seam bowler of all time. People will disagree with that, of course, because we all have our different favourites, but he shouldn't be doing this at the age of 40. And yet he's still just rifling through batting lineups so simply, so elegantly. Yeah, he really is an absolute titan of the game. So I think England did bowl very, very well up until the tail. because yet again, and I don't know what England's obsession with bowling short to the tailenders is, but for some reason we've got that one approach in our head. We consistently go for it, it backfires, and then we allow oppositions to get those extra 10, 15, 20 runs, which is exactly what happened with South Africa again today. In terms of South Africa's batting, the first thing that I did notice, and I put this actually on Twitter, was Markram and Van der Dusen standing outside the crease. I thought that was a really good strategy because it negotiates and nullifies the chance of you getting out LBW to the in-swinger, which is what Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad and Ollie Robinson are so prolific at. So I thought that was really clever. But then as soon as these two were generating some rhythm, some confidence at the crease, yes, Rassi's was a little bit more unlucky because it was a very, very slight umpire's call. But Markram's shot was just unnecessary, wasn't it? Needless, for want of a better word, not very intelligent, to say the very least.
Ball shot. That was a white ball shot.
And again, in that position, when South Africa are already struggling, you haven't got the extra player. You haven't got a Marco Jansen to come in and maybe try and tee off as well. You don't have the extra batting option. It was incredibly foolish, in my personal view. It was a really poor shot. So that's something which that South African middle order have got to work on. So I think today, I think England bowled better. I think towards the end of the day, South Africa also did lose the 9 and lengths. I think they were a little bit less disciplined. I feel like they gave away far too many extras, in particular in the last hour and a half, 2 hours of the day's play. But the other thing as well, England just showed them, and one player in particular, Zach Crawley, showed South Africa how to play on this surface. He played the ball on its merits. He was very defensive, very much within himself, but you could tell he looked at least at home in the crease. And it wasn't the most remarkable innings, 17 out from 77 balls, but he showed character, he dug in, he showed grit, determination, fortitude, and he's seen the shine off the new ball, which is so vital in a low-scoring game like this on a particularly tricky surface. I think he's done a very, very good job indeed. So definitely England's day. Lots to learn for South Africa. I also didn't understand why Harmer's getting 1 over. Why have you got Simon Harmer in the team if he's going to bowl 1 over? And yes, it isn't turning massively just yet, but this guy is the most prolific bowler in county cricket ever since he joined Essex in 2017. If not for any other reason, he's a remarkably talented bowler, but he's got the fear factor. This guy has ripped through county 11 after county 11. He's got all of these guys out before in the past. Why not put him on for an over or two? Just a little bit earlier. Put the doubt in the minds of that English batting lineup. So I feel like South Africa got it tactically wrong today. The execution was poor and England simply outplayed them. But I will say, you can't lose a test match on day one. So job's not done. England cannot rest on their laurels. We've got to take the attack to South Africa again tomorrow via that smart, intelligent approach to our batting. And there, let's try and get it 1-1, eh? Let's try and tie up the series and take it to a series decider at the Oval. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think the way this pitch is going to play out is going to make this test a lot closer. If South Africa can get their batting sorted out in the second innings, if they get a chance to play there. But if they can sort out their batting, I think they're more suited maybe to the pitch being a little bit older, I feel, against England. Than at its beginning. I think the way it was swinging around. That's why I thought it was brave for Algo to choose to bat first, backing his batters and thinking that they really could survive. And I think they honestly thought that they could, and I believe that they could too. But I think that the game plan was shaken up when they realized that the ball wasn't swinging. I think that when you prepare yourself for that mentally, it's very difficult to switch that in game. Excuse, but for sports person that has to change their game plan like mid-game while the game is on, you're realizing flip, it's not actually doing what you have to do. That's where the experience comes in. That's where the experience, like a guy like Jimmy Anderson can have that experience and say, hey, guys, we need to do this rather on the fly. That's what experience does. And that's why obviously Algo wants experienced guys around him, because it would be a lot better if it was actually experienced test cricketers rather than just experienced batters. Because I don't think these batters like Cyril Earweir, Keegan Peterson, Aiden Markram, and even to a degree, Rassie van der Dussen understands those conditions and the changes. Look at that inexperience that you have around Dean Algo. There's no one to they can't turn to. The only person that can really turn to is Dean Algo for advice. And the
It,
last time Dean Algo was in England in 2017, it wasn't really necessarily a very good trip for him.
Holly,
So then
can
you
I
have to
just
turn to
interject with a
your
point?
then you have to turn to your coach, Mark Boucher, and he's going to have to also give some insight. But how much insight can he actually give as an opening batter to an opening batter and a number 3 and a number 4?
Well,
Where we
that's a good
yeah.
question. But what I
Because
wanted to say
even our
actually,
batting coach doesn't have experience in Test cricket, so that's another fact going there. So I don't know what's going on.
yeah, it's the connection. That's all it is. But Holly, I just wanted to make a point. Really, you mentioned about this, and yet there is one person in that South Africa squad, and you talk about experience against the moving conditions. There is a guy in that team with a Test average over 50, a first class average over 50, and he's also averaging 77 in the county championship over the course of 4 matches. He has played very, very well this summer in conditions exactly like these ones in Old Trafford. So why is Ryan Rickleton not in that team?
So my understanding of that is, if I'm looking at it from Algo's perspective and all of that, yes, he did that in county championship, and yes, he did that in county cricket, but he didn't do it against Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad. It's a whole different ball game if you have those two running at you from opposite ends. With the ability to be able to change at will, they can change things. They're world class bowlers, two of the best of all time. So it's a whole different story. Now, I think he feels a little bit maybe it's too soon to throw Ryan Rickleton into a test like this at the moment when there wasn't necessarily in their mind massive panic bells or alarm bells for their particular batting lineup. We see it. We all know that they've had issues, but as sports people, it's very difficult for you to say, I'm crap, it's my time, or I won't be able to do this. As a sports person, you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe that you're going to come right if you understand what's going on. So I just think that the execution, it's like if you look at the play like Ronaldo now, when is he going to realize that he's getting old? Do you understand what I mean? For example, like, and his time's up, even though he believes that he can go win Champions Leagues at the top club. For example, I'm just saying. So it's difficult for a sports person to actually tell themselves, look here, I can't do X, Y, Z. They're going to back themselves and believe that they can. But I think that we have to look at it differently, because unbiasedly, and we have to sit back and look at it as a whole and see what are the issues. This is a consistent thing for South African batters. It's not just the South African Test 11 that are there now. I think this is a consistent thing for South African batters in general that have come through after the likes of Cullis and the legends of the game before them. They're struggling to find their game fast enough to adapt to Test cricket. Now, this is not only a South African thing. I think this is a worldwide issue. Looking at opening batters around the world, how many great opening pairs are there of this generation when they go and play in conditions that is nipping around and that is doing crazy things? So it's a problem within world cricket, I feel. It's a problem in South Africa too. But I think South Africa's problem can be solved by having a proper in place and knowing which players have the potential to be able to adapt the game. Coaches should be able to see, especially the ones that are experienced, that have played Test cricket, should be able to see characteristics in players early on already when they are coming through the system in domestic cricket. They should be able to identify certain traits that can be adaptable to Test cricket. I mean, naturally, you should do that. We can do it with fast bowlers. I mean, instantly you can see, oh, this guy is going to be, he has the right attitude or the right aggression or the right whatever the case may be. The same thing we should be doing with our batters. I like this one thing that I heard Ashwell Prince say. I think it was Ashwell Prince that said this once. I don't want to mix it up, but I think it was him that said it once. You need to pick batters also that are used to converting scores domestically. So, for example, we have a lot of domestic cricketers that have a lot of 50s to their name, but not as many hundreds. but their average is above 50 and they look good because they score a lot of not out 50s or they score a lot of half centuries and they score a lot of half centuries, so they look good. But they don't have as many centuries to the name. So that means that they have obviously not converting their 50s into centuries. So that's a conversion problem already at domestic level. What makes you think that guys are going to be able to do that at the test level, the highest level, that they're going to suddenly be able to have a good conversion at international level? Like, that is crazy and mind-boggling to me, because that clearly doesn't mean that the player has the talent to be able to. That's a first warning sign for me, because it's like, you want your 3 or your 4 or your openers to bat deep and long and go and score big 50s, not big hundreds, sorry, not 50s. You want them to score big hundreds, double centuries. If they haven't done it before, even in domestic cricket, how are they going to visualize themselves scoring a double or 100 at Lords? I don't understand the mentality from a competitor's perspective. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, how are we going to how you can do that? So, I mean, even if you are a professional sportsman and you're sitting as a kid dreaming about scoring at one day in the football World Cup, you're only going to do it in 30 years time or 20 years time, whatever the case may be as a sportsman. So I'm using that analogy bluntly and crazily, and it's not maybe aligning, but basically what I'm trying to say is, as a professional sportsman, until you do it, you can do it again. You need to get that feeling. If those batters are not doing that at the domestic level, not converting, not scoring the big runs at the international level, how do we expect them to just naturally be able to do it instantly? Because those batters that are doing that are getting opportunities, they expected to do that instantly, to score hundreds instantly. That we don't want to give them a chance of 10 games to settle themselves in. We want them to do it instantly. So that's just what I think personally, about the thing. And there's another aspect as well where I don't want to get into. I'm going to give you a chance to rebuttal me, because otherwise I'm just going to ramble.
Well, it's not so much a rebuttal, to be honest, but you've just described Ryan Rickleton, someone who can convert big on the domestic arena
Exactly
and
my
needs a
point.
chance in international cricket, and he's not playing cricket. So I don't understand. We constantly talk about South Africa's batting. It's the Achilles heel. It's the crux of this team. It's not working. It hasn't worked since the start of 2021, and nothing's changing. So when does he get an opportunity, or when does Kai Zondo get an opportunity? When does it change? That's the big question. Because it's saying that experience. The experience isn't working. So when does it change?
Yeah, and that's my exact question to the selectors and to the team, etc. When does it change? I think it will. The succession plans, the structures will be put in place. I believe that Enoch has the right mentality and the right structures, or at least the right plan to put in place. It's about executing that, and if they can find the right money for everything that they need to do. Now, I know after winning that first test, um, obviously the excitement in that team, you would think they come into this test with a lot more confidence, and obviously we would have hoped that it would have given our batters confidence. Now, I think at this point, going into the third test, there is no harm in trying Ryan Rickleton. There shouldn't have been any harm in trying Ryan Rickleton in this test. But I can understand from their perspective that I can understand why they do it, because they're keeping consistent. They're keeping consistency. They give guys opportunities until they get it right, or they don't get it right, and then they decide to let them go. They give them a chance, right? And I tell people to look at Aiden Markram differently here, because Aiden Markram was an opener, and I thought he was going to be a really, really good opener, because he came into the situation in South Africa to become a star in a team that was also struggling, and a team where that was also in its decline as well, with regards to Amla leaving, Dale Steyn possibly leaving, Morkel, Carl Abbott, all of these guys leaving. So a lot of experience. AB de Villiers also leaving at the time, looking to leave. Those type of things we had to look at. And then he batted well as an opener, and then came out of form, got dropped, got brought back as an opener, scored runs, got left for the IPL, and now he's a number 4. So a number four batter has a different role to an opening batter. So now, do we take those two things and look at them separately, or do we look at his whole test record as a whole and say, he's had enough chances in test cricket as a whole, he needs to be dropped? Or do we give him a longer chance at number four because he's batted at number four less times than Keegan Peterson has batted at number three, actually. So, like, that's how you have to look at it as well. You have to look at it in perspective, which is crazy. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, to be honest, it's a difficult one, isn't it, when it comes to Aidan Markram, because we always use the P word, don't we? Potential. And yet, we aren't seeing it at number four just yet. I think that is a fair point. He hasn't had as much time to really establish himself in this position in comparison to his time as an opener. So, yes, when we are saying he's got X amount of tests, you do have to put it into perspective that he is relatively fresh to this certain position. And he is still young. So with Markram, there is a little bit more leeway. But if that is the case, and I do say this through gritted teeth, because I am the one who constantly says that South Africa need to change things, that would mean that Rassie has to be dropped. Because I just cannot for the life of me see how you've got a guy like Ryan Rickleton on the bench. And yes, I am an advocate for allowing domestic superstars to go on and play international cricket. That's probably where this perspective comes from. But something has to change, doesn't it? I mean, we have been mentioning this, and yes, South Africa have been doing a lot better in Test cricket, and it's brilliant to see, and they've had some exceptional victories. The Test series against India, for example, was phenomenal, but it's the same Achilles heel again and again and again. And if something is broke, you have to at least try to fix it. You might not get the solution 100% correct straight away, but you've at least got to try. You've got to try something a little bit different. You've got a guy here who's been playing in England since June. It's now August. The last test is in September. He's been here for months and he's been excelling. He's been absolutely brilliant for Northamptonshire as Ryan Rickleton, who, by the way, are a Division 1 county. They have been facing some excellent oppositions and he's looked the part. He's only played 4 games. He's scored 539 runs with a 77 average. Surely he's got to play. And in particular, the Oval as well. The Oval's a relatively flat track. You know, it's the perfect opportunity to blood a young talent like Ryan Rickleton. So that'd be the change I would make. And then obviously we have to look into the future. If Markram does keep on struggling, I do agree that we would have to have the exact same conversation. The only problem is, who do you replace him with? Because there's quite a few options. Rickleton could be one of them in the long term. But, I mean, looking at your face, Khalid, would you be happy to see the back of Aidan Markram?
I wouldn't. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Aidan Markram, but I'm not the person that believes in unfairness. I believe in fairness, and especially in sport, if you're not performing, you need to be dropped. As simple as that. I feel that, especially over a long period of time. We need to talk about other batters too, because Dean Elgar is 13 innings without a century. That's for South African Test opener. And the captain of the side. It's not good enough. We look at Cyril Earvier. He's not adapting fast enough, I feel, to certain game situations. I feel that especially when we are struggling, we need someone to guts it out and fight it out and score like a Kirsten type of massive double century, like or a massive Graham Smith type of double century. That's the type of things that you're looking for from your openers to score big runs. And we need to give guys opportunities that have the potential to do that. Now, he's done it once or twice before, Cyril Earvier. But if you look at his record over a period of time, I've mentioned it many times, he has a lot more 50s than he has centuries. The conversion is not necessarily that good when it comes to 50, with the amount of centuries he scored. And I think that's a problem for a majority of our openers in South African cricket. And I guess that is going to happen. That's going to obviously be the case. You fail more than you succeed. So we need to look at certain situations at every single batting position in this top 6. I don't think anybody's safe. I honestly don't. I think Dean Elgar's struggling at the moment, and he also needs to find his own form, but he has the captaincy to worry about. And this is my problem. South Africa don't have anybody that is in there, they're doing their thing in the batting department that can be captain and that is already doing well with in their own performance, other than bowlers. And you look at the likes of Kagiso Rabada, and you look at the guys like Andik Nokuya and Lungin Giri are still very fresh in the test career, you could say. And you look at the guys like Keshav Maharaj as potential leaders for the side. And South Africa, I don't know. We need to start looking at the future, because at this moment, you can't be having so many guys that are nearing the end of their career performing the way they are performing on a regular basis. We're going to end up with a situation where we've got a whole 11 of inexperienced guys that have never played Test cricket in their life before, going to India on turning wickets and trying to win a Test match. I mean, how destroying will that be for people's careers? And that's my fear, because as we go along, more and more and more players are leaving, and obviously time goes by, you lose experienced players in key positions. So that's my concern. And it's almost like they are prepping the next guy to be the next experienced guy so they can continue the cycle, because it's almost like, okay, Sadal replaces Dean. He's the next experienced 30-odd-year-old that has played some Test cricket. And now the new youngster comes into the mix. And now Sadal must obviously teach him. It's a bit too late right now with regards to this team to do it. So I don't know what they're going to have to do to fix it. I have no answer for it, because we don't have enough experience in this team to train the next generation. They're going to have to learn on the job. And it's a disservice to the next person that takes over. Whoever's going to take over next, after Mark Boucher, is going to be left with this problem to sort out. So this is a reflection of years and years and years and years of neglect to our pipeline, I feel. If we deep it, or whole top six is out of form.
Yeah, which is the exact point you were making, Khalid.
Yeah.
As you said,
Yep.
no one is really safe at the moment. And as I said, you do have to give South Africa a lot of credit, because they are absolutely killing it in the World Test Championship. But if we are looking to the future, because you do have to look beyond this cycle as well, that is the problem that is going to turn up, because this is the issue which affected England at the start of Chris
Yeah.
Silverwood's reign.
But and
Having
Aaron,
all
look
those
here,
inexperienced players at the same time, it's not healthy for their careers.
and we're also missing two of our saviors over the last 2-3 years. They're not in the team anymore. Timber Buma and Quinn Cock. They've saved us how many Test matches? I
True.
mean, they were saving Test matches for us even when De Villiers and Faf and all of those guys were in the team. So I mean, that's a big loss as well. And now you're asking a youngster to take over that role of two people missing. I mean, we have to also take that into consideration. I mean, I don't think Kyle's ever felt that type of pressure. He can give us all these crazy cool sayings about how he does it in domestic cricket, but when you come in to replace two people, basically in a lineup, Quinn Cock and Timba Bavuma, who have been solid there for the last 5 to 6 to 7 years. Now a new guy, youngster in his 20s, wicketkeeper batter coming in there now trying to save a team from a Test match against England, not against anybody. No way. That's a lot of things to think about. There's be some proper consideration about the future over here that needs to happen. Anything you want to say towards the end here, Aaron? Sum up everything that you want to say.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I'll completely echo those sentiments. I just wanted to add a little thing about England, if I may. Just something I was very impressed with today. That was the bowling. So much better. Because in that first test at Lords, I kept on complaining, didn't I? In terms of the lack of discipline, the line, the lengths were completely wrong. I did have that little bit of a complaint about the short bowling to the tail enders, but today it was just so much better. They found that good to full length nice and early. They kept to it. I like the aggressive captaincy from Ben Stokes, and yes, at times it is a bit too aggressive. I will say that he does need to rein it in at times just to lessen the scoring rate, but so much better from England. It does seem as though that massive defeat in the first test has relit the fire in the belly. They seem really up for this test match, and you've got to put England as the favourites to go on and win this at this moment in time. But what I will say is that England are very good at preventing themselves from winning test matches. We always have a batting collapse in the ranks somewhere. We know it's coming. We just don't know when. It's like a mystery box. You know it's there, but you don't know when it's going to come. So for that reason, South Africa still have to be positive. They've still got to go into this thinking they can salvage this. England are still 40 runs behind. If they can take 2 or 3 wickets, get into the English tail, which, as we all know, isn't that deep at the moment, that they can still salvage this test match. But for England tomorrow, that first session is going to be absolutely imperative. Crawley's got to go big. He really does. He's got the foundation, 17 from 77. He batted really well today, but he's got to score a score of notes, of real substance. He's got to lay that foundation for the middle order. And for Johnny Bairstow as well, more of the same. Keep the scoreboard ticking, put the pressure back on the South African bowlers, and yeah, we'll be good. Go on.
Are you
What were you
confident?
gonna say,
Sorry
Ollie?
to interrupt you. There was a lag. Are you confident against our two spinners though that your batters can combat that? How confident are you?
Yes, very. Very. Maharaj, I've said this before
Okay,
with
if you
Kesha
are,
Maharaj,
if you
brilliant bowler, and I've got a lot of time for Kesha Maharaj, but for some reason or the other, he doesn't seem to do that well against England. I've mentioned this on the preview show. His second worst test average, bowling-wise, is against England. Dom Sibley took him down. I don't see why this Bazball approach can't take him down, you know. All we have to do, bat sensibly, and particularly if he's bowling that leg stump line, what have we got to worry about? So, yeah, I think England can go into, you know, the likes of Harmer. I think we can negotiate him. I think we can negotiate Maharaj. It's more the seamers. I'm a little bit tentative about how we're going to play Nortje and Rabada and Ngidi if the ball continues to move. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But I think with the spinners, if we can get a lead, I think England should be okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so I know a lot of this discussion has been about South Africa's succession plan and what they should do in the future. But the game is where it sits, and South Africa are not in a great position. England are on top, and well done to England's bowlers, Aaron. Well done to your team for what they did to South Africa.
Well, I
It
wasn't
was,
playing, but
I mean, yeah, that's why I said the team. Okay, I should have said the team that you support. Um, and I think it was tactics on the day. South Africa's tactics did not work. Yeah, the execution was poor, and now they find themselves in a massive pickle with the whole fan base upset and angry with him. So that's where we are sitting currently. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell for all future videos, please. And also don't forget to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. It's free. Straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as the description. Every issue, including all back issues, are free, guys. So just go in, download it. What are you waiting for? Also, become a patron. That's not free, but you can become a patron today if you want to help us grow and promote South African cricket. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all our reports, features, updates on this match. We have a live section as well where the fans are constantly tweeting. We update you on the game through the fans' view. So go ahead and look at that on cricketfanaticsmag.com as well. Aaron, thanks a lot for joining me.
my
Thanks a
pleasure.
lot to the caller today as well. Thanks a lot for the super chat. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another review show. Let's hope South Africa are in a much stronger position after day two. Before Aaron says anything sneaky.
Yeah.
Peace, guys.